Chicago Bears Now is presented by Manscaped. Get 20% off plus free shipping of all their men's grooming products, including a couple of new products that we'll talk about later on in the show. Promo code Bears20 at manscaped.com. I am Harrison Graham, and you are watching Bears Now. Bombshell reporting going on right now around the number one pick. Could the Bears be trading down from the top selection as soon as this week before free agency gets going next Monday? Ryan Poles had a sit-down interview with Peter King and said that it could be possible that the Bears would trade down this week. Lots of quotes to cover on today's show. We'll start with this one here from Poles. He says, should we do this before free agency or should we wait? I don't know. That's what I've communicated to teams. But then there's teams that want some certainty because if I need a quarterback bad, should I do that now when some of these guys like Derek Carr are out there? Well, news, Derek Carr is signing with the New Orleans Saints, but I think he's just making a reference there. Things are heating up, that's for sure. I mean, Ian Rappaport was reporting throughout the NFL Combine that there is significant interest in the number one overall pick. Ryan Poles hasn't really shied away from the idea of trading down from number one. I think that's pretty clear at this point as well, that the Bears will trade the top selection. It's a matter of when, not if. And it could happen soon. I think there's a real chance that when free agency kicks off next Monday, the Bears have already moved from the number one spot in NFL free agency. As we progress throughout the show, I'll tell you why there could be some advantages to trading the pick now rather than later. Now, will the number one pick be traded this week? Type Y for yes, type in for no, just before free agency. How about that? Y for yes, in for no. Will the number one pick be traded this week? Give me your thoughts down in the comments section. A reason a trade could happen so soon. Well, certain teams, like Poles said, they want that clarity heading into free agency, especially obviously the QB needy ones. Do we need to go after a vet? Do I need to start calling other teams about trading up with like Arizona at number 3? Teams want to know where they stand to monitor their cap situation and figure out where they're going to go at quarterback. Also, trading down could open the door for a double trade down, especially if you trade with Houston or Indianapolis. Then you could trade again anytime between now and the NFL draft. Maybe that's a draft night type of deal. If you trade for a second time, it just gives you more time if you are Chicago. Now, there's of course advantages to waiting. The price could go up, etc. And that's kind of what Ryan Poles is referring to here when talking about trading the number one pick early on. He says, to me, they've, talking about other teams, have got to go so much more above to do it right now. I'm not greedy with it, but they're going to have to go above and beyond to close the deal now. Ryan Poles is a smart guy, and he's patient. I think with the way he's moved has made that very, very clear, and he makes a good point. If I'm going to trade the pick 6 weeks before the NFL draft, I'm going to expect a damn lot in return to do it, because otherwise he could just sit and wait for a while. Like he is in no rush to do this. But again, I think deep down he's like, man, if we could do it sooner rather than later, and if I get a proper offer, then there are advantages to doing that, knowing what the Bears want to do in free agency. So it's an exciting time. Things are heating up. The Bears are certainly at the center of most discussions in the NFL right now, which is very, very exciting for you Bears fans out there and for me as well. This is the time to subscribe. The time is now, not only for Ryan Poles, but for you guys, Chicago Bears fans, and for us here at Bears Now. Join the family, join the movement. We want to be the number one channel for Bears fans out there. Bears offseason is going to be electric. The coverage is going to be awesome. I'm going to make a vow to you to bring you guys videos every single day, sometimes multiple videos per day. Good chance we'll have another video later, depending on what news drops. So subscribe. Can we get to 61,000 subs before the Bears trade the number one pick? Let's see. That's my challenge to you. We're 218 away. Join the family here at Bears Now. Is Ryan Poles going to get a haul? How big of a trade could this look like? And I was a little surprised, to be honest, how much Poles opened up with Peter King in this interview. He said he can, quote, feel the urgency among quarterback-needy teams. We'll explore that a little bit more here in just a moment. But let's talk about our sponsor today, and that is Manscaped. Manscaped has a public service announcement. They now have beard products and is going even further with their new products with the brand new Weed Whacker 2.0. Go ahead and tell the world that the leaders in below-the-waist grooming are traveling north of your South Pole with their revolutionary grooming products. The new Weed Whacker 2.0 is an awesome product that offers improved blades and skin-safe technology with a no-tugging guarantee. The Weed Whacker is going to trim your nose and ear hairs, and we've been telling you guys about the beard hedger as well. I've never had a better beard trimming product in my entire life, and I tried the Weed Whacker over the weekend in the 2.0, and it's a much improved and really, really good product for those of you who have nose and ear hairs that need to get trimmed. Perfect gift for any dads out there. As you get older, I mean, the ear hairs come in, believe it or not, they are there. Promo code BEARS20 to get 20% off plus free shipping when you go to manscaped.com. The Weed Whacker 2.0, the Beard Hedger, both fantastic products. Manscaped's always been known for their lawnmower product, which is below the waist grooming, but they've gone everywhere now. So go check them out. Promo code BEARS20 to get 20% off plus free shipping. That link will be in the description and in the comments. Stay groomed with Manscaped. You are not going to be disappointed. More for Ryan Poles. I think that's bold. I know I can get a 2024 one and a 2025 one, so first-round picks the next 2 years. You're telling me for the next 2 years I'll have 2 ones? That's either 4 really good players, or if we're cruising, we can still trade back. Why all of this is so critical for Chicago? Building a championship team in Chicago, it can really start with this trade, and I would say it does start with this trade. If you do this right, you are setting yourself up for the next several off seasons to build this thing the right way. I know we all want things to happen right away, and I do think that this team can compete for a playoff spot in 2023. But if you pull this off and you get all this capital for future drafts as well, you could be looking at a team that's maybe the best team in the NFC in 2 or 3 years. Now, it's not going to happen right away, but this is vital for the Chicago Bears. So keep that in mind. Now, let's shift to, okay, what teams are interested, right? Reports have been coming in about that. Ian Rappaport mentioned several teams over the weekend. Peter King mentioned teams in his article after his sit-down with Ryan Poles as well. So lots of reports coming in on what teams are interested in the number 1 pick. Here are 6 teams Peter King mentioned specifically. And he kind of broke them down into categories. 2 teams in the aggressor category. The Indianapolis Colts, who have the number 4 pick, and the Carolina Panthers, who have the number 9 pick. Obviously, in Indy's case, they've had several years of Band-Aid quarterbacks since Andrew Luck with not much success outside of the 1 year with Phillip Rivers. I think they want to get a franchise quarterback with new head coach Shane Steichen. Former Colts head coach who's now with Carolina, Frank Reich, he probably feels the same. He wants to get a long-term solution in Carolina. Teams that are in the more interested category, Houston and Las Vegas. Let's start with Houston. Well, if they love Bryce Young or one of the other quarterbacks more than anyone else, the only way they can guarantee themselves to get him is to move from 2 to 1. Otherwise, they pose the risk of getting leapfrog for that player. Vegas, say they don't get Aaron Rodgers or another veteran, and they fall in love with the draft prospect, then they could be a team that moves up if Josh McDaniels wants to get his guy. He also mentioned Seattle and the Titans as teams with outside shots. Seattle sitting at number 5. They also have the 20th pick. Titans with the 11th pick. Kind of an unknown with Tennessee with their new GM, Rand Carthen, but those are a couple teams he mentioned as well. Ian Rappaport's list. 4 of those 6 teams that Peter King mentioned. He also threw the Atlanta Falcons in there. And listen, with the Saints signing Derek Carr, literally as we're filming this, Atlanta is a team that might be thinking, should we counterpunch New Orleans by making a move as well? Because the NFC South is a very winnable division right now. We've talked about the other teams and why they might do it, but I do think Atlanta could be a dark horse team here. Now, Ryan Poles, in terms of which teams he's spoken to, he said he spoke to 3 teams specifically at the Combine. Now, I'm sure he's gotten other calls from other teams as well, but he spoke to 3 teams in person in Indianapolis. He did not tell Peter King which teams those were. While he opened up a lot in this interview, he's not going to go there and be like, yeah, Houston talked to me, and so did Indy, and yada, yada, yada. But he did say specifically he spoke with 3 teams, including maybe a team that's completely off our radar. Here's what he had to say on that. He said, one interested team reached out that's further back than what I thought. But if I'm going to go to the next tier on the Bears draft board, you're going to have to make up for that with more draft capital. So you kind of start thinking, okay, if it's not any of these teams that Peter King and Rappaport mentioned, maybe it is. Maybe it's like Tennessee, and that's a little further back what he's talking about. But what if it's one of these other teams? What if it's like Washington, who I've mentioned before at number 16, with their new offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, and Ryan Poles is probably sitting there, okay, if you want to move from 16 to 1, you are going to have to sell me the house to do that. Could it be the Jets, who may have just missed out on Derek Carr, and if they don't get Aaron Rodgers, they're kind of stuck in a precarious situation? Tampa at 19? I mean, who knows? I mean, I think a lot of teams are going to be interested in this top pick, which makes this very, very exciting, very, very interesting. And while we as, fans and guys who cover this team are getting a little anxious about when this is going to happen, I think you have to trust the process, and you have to trust Ryan Poles and his feel for this thing. He mentioned specifically with Peter King, he says, I have a gift of being able to read people, and I can feel the pressure that these quarterback-needy teams are feeling. So buckle up, guys. Things could get very, very exciting very, very quickly here for the Chicago Bears. Now, what team will the Bears trade with? If you had to guess, what is going to be the team that trades up, at least the first time? Again, a double trade could happen. Let us know down in the comments below what team you think the Bears will trade with. All right, and then with all of this comes an obvious conclusion, but even Ryan Poles basically admitted it, that Justin Fields is here to stay. One thing that's become abundantly clear is that Fields is the 2023 starting quarterback. Poles again here saying, I do think there's potential that we have something really good, and to me, you've got to see it through. And I completely agree with Ryan Poles on that, because yes, there's still flaws. Yes, Fields has to improve as a passer, and Ryan Poles straight up said that. There was a quote where he said he's got to be able to improve as a passer and sometimes make the quicker, easier decision. And he said they've talked to Justin about that. But I think a decision has 100% been made that Justin Fields is the guy in 2023, and quite frankly, they owe him 2023 in my opinion. Now, Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus may not specifically because they didn't draft him, but I think the Bears as a whole do, because they've done him very few favors through 2 years. Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace screwed the pooch from day one after they drafted Fields in 2021. Last year, they just did not have adequate pieces around him, kind of making it a transition year, which netted them the #1 pick and $100 million in cap space, so job well done. But let's build around him this year, see what happens in 23. And I've said it, if he doesn't take proper steps, hey, you can go get a quarterback in 24, especially if you get an extra first-round pick at the next 2 drafts and you have that extra ammunition to go up and get somebody. But I think Fields is the guy. I think they owe him 2023, and I think he's going to do well if the Bears build around him properly. So show Justin Fields some love. Type the JF1s in the comments below. If you think he's the guy, spam JF1. Subscribe to the channel. Bears rumors heating up. Stay tuned.